The show 5 Stripe Fam, I'm AJ, and this is Michael. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to another episode of 5 Stripe Weekly, and in this episode, we will preview the 2024 season. We'll also preview that match against Columbus Crew, our first match of the season, and of course, get in the news and some mailbag. But before all that, let's give some love to our Patreon members. And on the higher tiers, Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew Wicki, and Chris James. Much love to you all. We appreciate the continued support. And yeah, it's the new season is upon us, and we have a lot of exciting things that we are looking forward to presenting to you. And definitely get involved now, and it will be so good. We promise you. So yeah, get in there on our Patreon. You can check it out in the description below on YouTube, and of course on your podcatchers in those descriptions as well. But yeah, let's get into the news. And the big thing that came out from the last weekend was the new secondary kit, the Resurgence kit. And yeah, it was unveiled at Pullman Yard and or Yards, and there was a little bit of a left to be desired by some of the people that gave reviews on it. But the kit itself, it's got the Phoenix, the mythical bird that Atlanta rose from the ashes, and yeah, on the city seal as well. The colors, yellow, blue. I mean, it is, I think, one of our crispier kits for sure that we've ever had. And, you know, I think the little details with, you know, the gold or the yellow, you know, along the sleeves, along the sides, along the collar, and the actual bird itself. I mean, I think it's pretty good. There is, to me, a little bit with where the logo sits and where the you know, the actual depiction of the Phoenix is. It could have maybe been a little bit better, but I think large in part this is a sexy kit. But what do you think?
Yeah, I pretty much agree full-heartedly. I really think about it. I hadn't really considered it, though. The whole placement of the Phoenix, I think maybe it could have been, like you said, there could have been maybe some other ideas, but for the most part, I like it. It's fine. It is definitely one of our better away kits because we haven't, I mean, this might be controversial, but, you know, I've taken some flack for this in the past, but I'm not a huge fan of most of our other away kits, I'll say. But hey, this one at least is better than some of the other ones that came out for some of the other teams for this season, like the generic white kits that seem to be in abundance. There's at least like 3 or 4 of them that are just like a bland white kit. Yeah, there's like on one of them like some topography lines and stuff, but it's all very, you know, generic and vague. It just kind of is boring. So I'm glad we don't have a super boring kit. That would have made me a little sad. There are some fire kits out this year for some other teams, so happy they got some cool kits. It's cool to see them. And when it'll be interesting. It makes me really like excited to see what our next home kit will be, because then we can kind of really go all out with designs and stuff like that. Because I mean, our last one was a return to our original kit. So what the heck are they going to do this time? It's going to be pretty crazy.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, great points there. I think it's also one thing to note is the whole kit itself. And I mean, I think in some previous years we've left again some things to be desired in terms of you know, white shorts with you know, a gray kit, or white shorts with, you know, something that just doesn't really work together, and then the socks don't really work either. I think it's a little bit like that here. Hopefully we have you know, kind of a change short as well, but yeah, hopefully it's just enough of a kind of full kit that is just better than yesteryear, and I think it's pretty much there. There's, yeah, like I said, it's never going to be perfect, but, I think this is, one of our best kits, in terms of away kits and secondary kits that we've ever had. So, and yeah, it's definitely a little bit sucky to hear about the kit reveal itself. Previous years, they've held it at the Benz, they've held it at the Tabernacle. This one was, Pullman Yards is awesome, but it is pretty much outdoors, and because there's not really heat inside an abandoned train terminal, so it's something that could have been a little bit maybe foresight with, but parking apparently was an issue as well. Some people were actually turned away who had tickets because they didn't arrive early enough. I think, man, that's still a pretty massive fail. I think, a lot of, like, you're not gonna get goodwill with your fans, by doing that type of thing, and by not being able to, I think, plan an event through and through. And I think this is something that, like I've mentioned in the previous episode, that we need to figure out. We need to know and be better about, getting as many fans with positive experiences dealing with, events and other things that pertain with the team. Because the more they're burned, some won't come back. Like, it's just the reality of it. So, anyway, but moving on from that, one of these things as well, the season ticket holder gifts, they apparently, according to Doug Roberson, will not be sent out until early March. And, the season's already started. Yes, of course, as well, you have yesteryear, I like this term, apparently, that's, you have some fun gifts. Usually they're, not really expensive trinkets, but you had the Joseph statue, you had lanyards, you had, various things that were pretty cool. This year, no idea, and it's late, and as well, we're paying more than ever. And so, the fact that it's an afterthought, this is further exacerbating things. So, yeah. But, moving on from that, Atlanta United, they had their last preseason match of the preseason, redundant, but it was 3-1, and SKC, they in the latter parts of the match were able to not only get an equalizer but win the match. Now, it of course was not streamed anywhere, no one could watch it, no hype for that. Of course, there was maybe a little bit where possibly the team was trying to shroud its tactics, or maybe because of what was learned after the fact, Tyler Pilgrim of Scarves and Stripes, or Scarves and Spikes, he mentioned that Pineda, they were trying to increase their physical training by 50% versus the level they were at the same time last year leading up to the game. And the second teams that came on from SKC were, and the second 11s apparently, were pushing 225 minutes at the time in training. And so, the first team, they had high numbers too. And so around the 60th minutes, the team was extremely gassed. And that was the intention. And so he wanted to have their stamina tested as much as possible, and so that they're ready for the 90 minutes easily by the start of the season. And on top of that, SKC subbed on some young, fresh players at the 60th minute, and it clearly was something that overwhelmed the team. But yeah, you know, regarding Atl United losing 3-1 to SKC in the preseason, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, like I was kind of miffed when I first, you know, it's not being shown. That was annoying. I wanted to see something. Us losing 3-1 when we had originally scored the first goal, and then we just kind of fell off. Looking at, you know, the statistics of them scoring 2 penalty kicks within 9 minutes time, like what the heck is going on defensively? And there was a lot of question marks, a lot of weird stuff, and then Tyler's comments that he kind of took from a conversation he had. I think it was at like the kit reveal or something along those lines, or at a training ground session. Pineda told him basically what you had read, and that this is all intentional. It wasn't really meant to be a game. This was a training exercise. This was a stamina building exercise. They weren't trying to win this. And that kind of makes me feel a little bit better for them not showing it, because in their mind, there probably wasn't anything to show. Like, we're not there to play a soccer game. We're there to use them as like a training dummy, like to sprint against and to, you know, test our stamina. That seemed to be what this whole thing was leading up to, which, you know, is not a bad thing. I would really like, you know, it goes to show Pineda is adjusting a bit, in that he believes, compared to this time last year, his conditioning training didn't bring the team up to where it should have been, he thought. So now he's pushing them even harder this year. So that can be good, in that we'll hopefully definitely be prepared stamina wise, but it also can be a little dangerous in that you could push a team too hard. And we might run into the ground. Some injuries might start popping up. So hopefully he finds the right balance in between. And I think he probably is, because he said he's relying very heavily on his medical science team. And they're the ones pretty much giving him the, you know, the go, no go for the players in terms of how much they can handle. So hopefully, with that in mind, he's making the right calls, using the players wisely, and they're getting the stamina that they need. So it doesn't really bother me that much anymore that we didn't get to see it, and the result also doesn't bother me that much anymore, because the context of we were running our players into the ground up into this game, and then we forced them to stay on the pitch the like entire game against a team that hasn't been doing that. And on top of that, subbed at the 60-minute line, when clearly at the 60-minute line, we were the ones already starting to basically pass out. So, all that in mind, don't care about the results of this game. I don't think it tells us anything about what we can do and will do in the early parts of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, hopefully he's not pulling out Gabriel Heinze and, you know, pulling water from them as well. But, I mean, it's definitely perplexing from a confidence standpoint, because you want your club and your squad to be confident going into the first game of the season. And yeah, you know, yes, I get it from a stamina standpoint, from a fitness standpoint, but I think ultimately, you know, maybe the other matches you do that. And I mean, that it's just the weird thing is, you know, the game before the preseason match before the first game of the season. Like, I mean, I get it again from that you know, that fitness standpoint, but from an optics point of view, for fans, for anybody else, you know, like, one game is not going to you know, determine the tactics that you're going to do for the season. And, you know, Columbus Crew are not going to be like, they're going to be good. They're going to figure out what they're going to be good at and what they're going to do anyway. They're going to implement their plan A. They're not going to be you know, that super worried about us at home. You know, there is, I think, a level of, they're going to do what they're going to do and be the protagonist. And yeah, I don't know. I have my doubts that this was actually the case. Actually, there is a little bit of backwards rationalization sometimes with coaches and their ability to, I guess, spin things in the media. And I don't know if I fully buy all that. So it's okay. Hopefully they're fine for the preseason, or fine for the first match of the season. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, if they're getting crushed by SKC's B team, like 1 game away from the start of the season, 1 week away, I mean, that's really bad. So yeah. I really hope that that's not the case.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah, confidence is important for sure. And well, they didn't really gain that from that match at all. But
yeah, interestingly enough, though, in terms of confidence, all of the interviews, they did some interviews recently, and in their press media day, and all the guys who came up were asked about what are their confidence levels at, and they were all very, very high. They all said that they haven't been higher. They're as confident as they've ever been, and so I guess the SKC thing didn't, ding them at all, or that's just what they were going to say, regardless of what the result was. So
yeah, I mean, it's some guys are vulnerable to the or will be vulnerable to the media and whatnot, like the likes of, say, like a Jose Martinez and stuff like that. But I think a large majority of the guys, yeah, they're not going to show their cards too much, especially at the beginning of the season and all that. Like, I feel like, if you're not hyped for the start of a season, then when can you be hyped, right? So, especially as a player. So, excuse me. But, yeah, speaking of, Stian Gregersen, yeah, he spoke to the media and he described his best asset, and he said speed. And, in terms of that, he said, quote, "I've gone up against Mbappe and Haaland, and I mean, to be fair, he has. So, in that, I think that experience will really help him in this league, and I think you'll give him confidence that he's one of those players that's maybe, if not positionally, he will be able to recover with his pace. So, definitely
finish the Stian quote."
Well, I don't have the rest of it, but yeah, so if you have it.
What he said was that, because Doug followed up with because he said he had to race Haaland and Mbappe, but he asked him, did he beat Haaland in the race? And he said he beat him in 1 out of 2 races. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and especially because they're both part of the Norwegian national team, and or at least Gregersen is in and out probably, but. Yep, and as well, Saba Lapsenice, he commented on his relationship with Brooks Lennon on the right, and how it's grown on and off the field. And he said he enjoyed the preseason with everyone, and yeah, definitely. This is from Tyler Pilgrim. He said he won't reveal who puts butter in the coffee, but yeah.
Mystery remains.
Man, Saba, come on, give us something. Saba.
The plot thickens. Who is he trying to protect?
Exactly right. It's we had our theories. You can check them out on the previous episode if you haven't. But yeah, butter and coffee.
One suspect is off the list. It's not Saba.
Yeah. Well, he didn't reveal it was if it was him or not. So
he said it was not him.
Okay.
He could be lying, but he said it's definitely not him.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But yeah, hopefully it's not salted butter. That's really, I think, the grossest thing. But anyway, yeah, moving on from that, Doug Roberson, he also mentioned that the team is very close to the cap max after winter additions. So they can't buy down Saba to create another DP spot. The only way is for them to sell one of the current DPs. But as well, he further clarified that the team can buy down 2 of the 3 of Stian Gregersen, Bartosz, or Saba Lapsenice, and whichever one they can't buy down will be the 3rd DP. So yeah, probably Saba will still be the third DP. So it's definitely, it makes it complicated because, well, yeah, the 2024 MLS roster rules were also released, and yeah, the salary budget per team is 5.47 million. TAM floor is 683,750. That's up from 5.21 million and 651,250 from last season. The senior minimum is 89,716, up from 85,444. And the reserve minimum is up from 67,360 to 71. Now, I think the things that, instead of just like number bombing you, because this is probably not that interesting, seeing and hearing all those numbers, but yeah, the changes to the roster slots of 25 to 30. 29 and 30 can now also be used for Generation Adidas players, where they previously weren't able to do so. And also, domestic players. They no longer need to be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident by the roster compliance date. Now they have until the open of the second transfer window, which is July 18th, to either be granted a green card or appeared for a green card interview. So that's fantastic, actually, because, the whole, you don't have to worry about international slots. Well, yeah, even now more so. It's, I think this has an eye on Inter Miami, and it's, that's pretty obvious. And, at this point, we're a team that benefits from this, so I'll take it too. So, no sweat in that regard. And then GAM, it's it's 2.585 million in 2024, up from 1.9 million TAM, and basically all that number gobbledygook. What are your thoughts on all those MLS roster rules?
It's all fine. I mean, increases are good. It's positive direction, but again, this is MLS already having missed the train here, and not kind of taking the restrictor plates off earlier, so teams could really go nuts and elevate this league to a really, really high level. So, while this is like, I like to see players get paid more in a league that they deserve to get paid in, and that's good and all, but again, like, the train was missed. So hopefully next year we'll see even more significant movement and not just these tiny incremental improvements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, something else that will upset some fans as well is that the pro referees, I mean, to a degree anyway, are locked out. And yeah, I mean, it's at this point, basically, it was a new CBA that 95.8% said no. And in terms of MLS officials and the PRSA membership. And so, yeah, the 2024 season will be starting with replacement referees. So guys from USL and other leagues will be refereeing. And yeah, I mean, essentially the word scab always gets thrown about when there's people that are non-union that pretty much work. And yeah, I mean, they were out there in front of the MLS headquarters in New York. They were protesting. There was even an inflatable pig. But yeah, I mean, essentially, pro referee, being locked out. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a bad look for the league. It makes it look silly, clownish, even. Just get your stuff in order. Figure things out. This is ridiculous. You have the best player in the world in your league, and you can't get your referees on the same page with you. It just, again, it's, the leadership of MLS is doing just strange things. Just unwilling to budge on what seems to be just, significant growth. And it's weird to me to see them so like resistant to it and so afraid of it. I mean, I would say, like, you know, it's not my money, so I would say embrace it. But like, I mean, I just feel like this is a great investment. It makes sense. Put more money in, see more money out. But I mean, I can't imagine how you like have a better valuation for the league at this minute. Like, why not dive in? But I just, where it should be a green light everywhere, you're seeing red lights, and it's perplexing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to try to see where MLS is coming from, maybe, you know, they're trying not to get extorted. Maybe, I mean, that's a harsh way to say it, maybe, but by pro referees, and that's, yeah, you know, they probably saw the dollar signs in terms of pro referees. They're like, yeah, well, okay, now the best player ever has now entered this league. Okay, yeah, Ronaldo fans, you can at me. But, yeah, essentially, though, you have, you know, a highly marketable player who is increasing the ticket sales, the kit sales, everything in the league. And, yeah, they want a piece of the pie, too. And, I mean, I don't blame them. But it is also, yeah, you know, from that optics standpoint, I think is very important. Like, you had all off season, there were the whispers, and now the start of the season, and you can't get this done. It looks bad. It looks really bad. And yeah, I mean, now in light of those ongoing labor negotiations, well, MLS, they announced that they will postpone the implementation of the following rules and procedures: the timed substitutions rule, the off-field treatment rule, and the in-stadium VAR announcements. And then, yeah, as well, they will implement the new return-to-play equity protocol and stadium clocks. They'll run until the completion of each half, including any additional time at the end of either half. And, yeah, I mean, it's basically, you know, the stuff that we were seeing a little bit in the preseason about, you know, kind of almost, you know, just like if you go down, that you have to kind of wait for a bit of time before you can come back on. That will not be the case until they figure out.
Is that the case of goalies too?
We'll see. I don't know. I don't see anything.
That can't be. It can't be, because then you have to play without a goalie.
Yeah, and so yeah, exactly. That's that shouldn't be the case. That'd be ridiculous. And so so yeah, as a rule, it's very imperfect, and you know, obviously with big exceptions that, yeah, that would just make it incredibly silly. So yeah, no, there's a lot to work out there, and yeah, that's quite hilarious. That's a great point, Michael. But yeah, and so moving on from that, yeah, U.S. Open Cup news. So familiar face and name, Paul McDonough. He's now the president of the USL, and yeah, according to Henry Bushnell, yeah, McDonough said that yeah, the understanding is that the 2024 Open Cup will happen, but probably only with 8 MLS teams, and the situation's still kind of fluid. USL clubs, many of whom feel wronged, still deliberating. And McDonough said, quote, "It's very emotional." He's impressed with the U.S. Soccer's financial commitments to the Open Cup, but, quote, "We're really disappointed in the Federation for not showing stronger leadership." I mean, it's basically that. It's like, you know, MLS kind of exiting and pretty much prioritizing Leagues Cup. Yeah, U.S. Open Cup is, I mean, if the 8, I don't know if we're the 8. It does not say if we are. It'll be very interesting. I mean, you know, I think we're one of those clubs that has a, you know, a MLS Next Pro side that's, you know, I think we'll probably implement that. But this is all very damning. But you know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, this is the domestic cup that's been going on for like over 100 years. It's ridiculous that
the oldest cup competition in the world.
Yeah. So I feel like this is something you should probably not, you know, burn the bridge to. So, this is I don't know if it's unprecedented, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is unprecedented. Like, this seems like this is, you know, unheard of in the world of soccer for a league to back out of the domestic cup of their nation. It just seems weird. It can't be good for the growth of soccer in the United States. I mean, I remember hearing, what was it? Sebastian Salazar talking about how MLS should lose its Division I status because it opts out of the domestic cup of their nation. And I feel like that could be a bizarre turn of events if that were to be the case, which I don't know the rules, but I mean, if they did that, if they even have the power to do that, and if they did that, that would be wild to see US Soccer remove MLS from that and then give it to like USL or something. That would be crazy. But I mean, MLS really is trying to be, you know, the big dog here, and they're not letting all these other organizations, you know, be the tail that wags them. And like, it doesn't have to be this way, but again, it goes back to our points earlier where it just seems like MLS doesn't want to budge on things. They don't want to do anything else besides their own thing, and it's like isolationist and greed. I mean, that is antithetical to like growth and prosperity in my opinion. So, you know, this type of stuff like growth and prosperity, you know, that favors the bold in my estimation. So this is not bold behavior. This is very retreating and suspicious, and, you know, just, it's not a good look. I don't like it. I hope things start to turn around, and instead of MLS like pissing on everyone, it seems like they start to, you know, extend some olive branches and bridges start to be made again and slash repaired, because a lot of this is just bad and you're pissing off a lot of people. It's just not the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess counterpoint too, though. It's, I mean, MLS, why would they care if they're not first division? Like, they've got Messi, they've got, like, you know, all these players, they've got money. It's like, if they're stripped of Division I, like, honestly, it's like, it's a title, really, at the end of the day. So it's like, I can see why they wouldn't care. And to actually, yeah, I mean, I see your points, but it's also, I mean, this is bold. This is going against what history is. And I mean, yeah, I think the main part, though, I disagree with a lot of their methods, is they're basically saying a big F you to everybody else. And, you know, they're not finessing it at any point. It's basically, yeah, people are being blindsided. People are essentially being like, oh, yeah, what? Should we have, like, discussed this behind closed doors first? Instead of, yeah, you know, I think people are finding out that, you know, should be in those conversations, I think, later than they should. And yeah, that's the damning part. And you know, whether this is good for the game or not, ultimately we will see. But man, you know, more news that will upset people. Looks like MLS and Apple, they're cracking down on the free access to the MLS Season Pass. So there won't be the 1-month free trial offers, free games, the free T-Mobile tie-in. And yeah, I mean, yeah, this will really show if yeah, the marketing model will work. And yeah, I mean, it's basically, they're banking on, okay, everybody knows that Lionel Messi is in this league now, so they're gonna pay to watch him. Okay, we'll see. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's not great. It's not because they've raised the prices, but I'm not, again, as an Atlanta United fan, I'm not sure what I get more of. Like I'm paying more for watching somebody that's not even. I'm gonna maybe watch, you know, less than 10 times. Like, does it actually, like, I don't know. It's not really something that moves the needle. Like,
this is why they should have let the team spend significantly more to up the value of each team, so each team had more to give to the fans to watch.
Exactly. And Lionel Messi, it's like, yeah, you know, I've watched a good bit of Messi in my lifetime, but yeah, no, it's like him at Inter Miami when he like will play here and there, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's not screaming like the value for the entertainment at the moment, but you know, we'll see.
Who knows if he will ever play in Atlanta?
Yeah, exactly. So all those really expensive tickets that yeah, basically have been gouged. It will be interesting. More upset fans that Michael will have to divulge that Messi is not showing up. But anyway, moving on from that, last bit of news. Paulo Neto, he is a back-to-back LS1 champion. And yeah, he got to the final. He beat his opponent 5-1. He is an EMLS legend right now. He is yeah,
A two-time champion.
Two-time champion, and also, I mean, I think you know, just kind of unprecedented. I think there's at a level that he's playing, it's crazy good. And
yeah, if you watch that, he cooked that guy who's playing too. That was crazy.
Yeah. So it's you know, congratulations to the Brazilian. But yeah, so that does it for the news, and it gets us to the season preview, and we will be joined by a couple of our highest tier Patreon members, and you can join us on these in the future if you join us on the Patreon. And guys, welcome our Patreon members, Drew and Gavin. And yeah, we are going to preview the MLS season 2024. And wow, I mean, it's it's upon us already. And guys, I mean, first of all, how are you guys doing? Drew, Gavin?
Doing pretty good right now.
Doing well. Looking forward to it.
Love it, love it. And yeah, how did the off season treat you guys?
I think it was pretty promising. Not sure how it's gonna go, but I have all my faith.
Love
I'll
that.
say, I feel excited about players we've signed. The team looked pretty good in preseason, even though some of the results maybe didn't favor or look as well as we should have done. But team in general looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And yes, speaking of those players that did come in and all our offseason moves, yeah, of course, we brought in a replacement for Miles Robinson and Stian Gregerson. Bartosz Schlich is in place of Mateus Rossetto. We've also got Derek Williams, who may fight for a starting spot against Luis Abram. And yeah, you know, a little bit of filling out of the rest of not only Atlanta United, you know, first team, but also the second team. So there might be some guys that you know, see some time to kind of help us out as well. Yeah, it's a pretty solid off season in terms of transfers. But yeah, I think the crunch time is now. The season is about to start, and let's get to the first question, which is, what is you guys' biggest worry? Drew.
I would say our biggest worry is team depth. So, in a lot of places, we strengthened our depth a lot, but there's key areas are right and left back. It worries me about our depth at that position, especially going into later in the season. We're it's almost a 90% chance that we're losing Wiley to the Olympics. So in a tournament like Leagues Cup, I see us struggling a lot more than we might do throughout the season, just because we don't have a key piece in that position, and we don't really have any backup. Aiden McFadden maybe, Hernandez maybe, but those guys are definitely, yeah, exactly, and they're definitely a step down in quality to what we have in the first team, and it worries me a little bit like that going out throughout the season, because if Wiley or Lennon gets hurt, I'm worried about how we will survive through that. Almada leaving is something that's always a possibility, but I don't see that as a weakness quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Gavin, what's your biggest worry?
I have two, actually.
Mm-hmm.
One is consistency, and two is road performances. So, as we've seen in the past, we're just a team that's mediocre. It's just like you saw it in leg 3. We got beat early, then we're like took some sort of response, and we just like keep giving up, and then they score. It's not just about like leg 3 though. We saw a lot throughout the season. We saw lots of it, and the road results. I'm not saying we're gonna go back to how we were in 2018 when we won like almost every road game because we were the best road team, but we just need to win. Like, we just can't lose every single one. We'll win at least like 1, but we need to start winning like more than 5 now. Like, we got to pick up 3 points on the road rather than just draws or losses. Like, draws on the road, those are good too, but like the games from last season, like the Toronto game, you should have got 3 points in that one. And the New York City one, that one was a good point because we were down 10 men that game. Those are examples, but we just need to stay more consistent, and we gotta like, especially the road results, because it's always where we don't have a good spot in the playoffs. Because I have us making the playoffs, but we want a good spot and like home games, and we're gonna need to get higher. And the key to that is consistency and road performances. We got to do better. And if that happens, there will be some good promise for Scrubby.
Right, and it's a great shot because the team is aware that is a weakness, and Gonzalo Pineda, they have highlighted that as a feature of what they need to work on during the preseason. And yeah, every game in the preseason being away, more or less, not really on their training grounds, the furthest obviously in Florida, but even the closest was in Athens. So definitely they were trying to work on those aspects. Now, Mike, what do you think your biggest worry is?
Well, Drew pretty much covered it with depth. I think is probably what's on everyone's radar when asked about what their biggest worry is for this season. There's just so many opportunities for our guys to be. I mean, that's what happens when you have a good team, right? Your guys get called away. So we almost always are penalized for having great players on our team. That's not going to change anytime soon, probably. So get used to it if you haven't already. So it kind of forces me to think what else could be a big worry for us. 2 things kind of come to mind. One is the players not really gelling and chemistry not really being created over the season. You can have a great team on paper, but if the guys who came in, and maybe they are all buddy-buddy because they do sound like it. They sound like they're building a really great culture in terms of friendship and camaraderie. But if that doesn't translate to on-the-pitch chemistry, that's going to be tough. You can have a great team not play well and get beat by a team that's nowhere as good but has really, really excellent chemistry. So that worries me. Well, this is an unproven commodity we have that we're going to put out in the field. So hopefully, it can show us that there's more to it than just a lot of, rock, paper, scissors and laughs and jokes and a lot of good fun. So the second issue that I think could potentially be a problematic is, to me, the big thing about this season is an examination of whether or not Gonzalo's tactics and strategy actually are good enough and or like working, you have the players now that there is no real excuse. It's if you don't do well now, we've exhausted like all the other options. It pretty much has to be Gonzalo's tactics now if we don't do well. If there's just something still holding us back, there really cannot be many other options. I can't think of any. We've exhausted them all. So if that's the case, like if either the players aren't registering with the tactics, or the tactics themselves just aren't very good, or the other teams have just figured it out and know how to play against it and are just kind of crushing us every time they run into the tactic that we put out, and Gonzalo's unwilling to change, like that could be a way to torpedo an otherwise a good season. So hopefully those two things don't happen. Hopefully the team gels, chemistry is built, and hopefully the tactics aren't an issue. I would like to think they're not, because then if they kind of are, then that kind of hurts my theory earlier, like the last 2 years of, well, it's just we had bad guys in the midfield. It's like, well, actually, no, Mike. Rossetto was really good, and you just don't understand. It was Gonzalo's tactics all along. That's what kind of screwed everything up. So if it's actually Gonzalo's tactics, then that kind of shoots down my whole theory, and that makes me feel dumb. So hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great shout, because Pineda, whether he likes it or not, he's on the hot seat. I mean, he would be our longest tenured head coach in our history, and at this point, I mean, the guy has not achieved anything here, and yeah, I mean, the leash has been long, and there has been, I think, viable excuses, but now is the time to put up or shut up. You have the best team on paper that he's ever had. Yes, and injuries have played a part in previous kind of rosters and how we've looked, but ultimately now he's got a full preseason ahead of him that finished. He's got the team that it should be to his to his liking and to his choice, more or less. But I think the biggest worry for me is our defense. Look, we had Miles Robinson. We had pretty much everybody that's in this back line, and maybe Bartosz Szlisz will impact that in a good bit to be able to shield that defense. But the fact is, pretty much 3/4 of this defense, and also I guess if you want to say 4/5 because of Brad Guzan, if he's the starter, we conceded probably, if not the most, but pretty damn near close to the most in the league. And so, yeah, with those aspects as pretty much what we're dealing with defensively, that's a huge worry. What has drastically changed, in that regard? Have we hired a new coach that is more defensive, as part of the coaching staff? Not to our knowledge. So, yeah, Pineda isn't exactly known for being a defensive guru or a wizard at it. And so, yeah, absolutely, that is my biggest worry, is and plus with the depth, like Drew, you were saying, and it's just, yeah, there are serious questions. And yeah, we can try to outscore every single team all we want, but I think we found out that, when we're away with the likes of Columbus Crew, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're anemic on the road, you're anemic on the road, and you have to figure out some way to stop the ball from going in the back of the net. But
yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit like the 2018 team. I mean, we let a lot of goals in that season too, but we just pummeled them with goals in return. So if that ends up being the case, I'll be okay with that. I agree with you. I think the defense, like I said, has to do with the chemistry thing to me, is that if the back line doesn't gel together, if Bartos can't do what he's supposed to do, I mean, I honestly think, like I said, with the whole thing with our midfield was terrible before, Bartos is supposed to be the solution to that. And if he's not, we're in big trouble.
And one guy is not going to be the solution. I mean, there is, it's definitely has to be coaching and positioning and as well the whole defensive scheme. And everyone has to be switched on. We switched off too many times. We let in over 50 goals last season. That's that's not going to win you a league. That's not going to win you an MLS Cup. Let's just be real. And you know, you can luck your way into some good results, but ultimately, like that, you know, the defense is something that you have to, you know, really crush from a tactical standpoint. But yeah, moving on from that, biggest excitement of the season. We'll try to, you know, breeze through these a little bit, so we'll limit you guys to one. But Drew, what's your biggest excitement?
Well, I mentioned team depth on the back line there as a worry, but I also think our team depth going upfield in the attack in our midfield is something to be excited about. Last year, we had a lot of questions about our midfield and our attack. This year, I look at our midfield and I go, okay, we have Muyumba, we have Fortune. Those were two of our best midfielders from last year. And now we've added McCarty and Salish. And you look at that and you go, okay, that's a strong midfield. That's something that's got good depth as well. And then you move forward to the attack. You have Yako, you have Tiare, you have Almada, you have Zonde Silva, you have Saba, you have Mascara on the bench as well, even though he's going to be out for the first couple weeks. But you look at that and you go, okay, there is attacking, there's depth throughout the lineup in those areas. You can see that that is a massive strength for us. And I know you're concerned about this, our center backs, but I look at the players we brought in and they look, to me, they give me a lot more confidence in our back line. Gregerson looks like he is got the speed like Miles does to recover. And then you add a player like Williams as well, and Noah Cobb taking a very big step in the preseason, looking very solid. It gives me a lot of hope that going throughout this long season, we won't be worried if somebody in those areas goes down. We have the coverage to continue out throughout the season.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, no, for sure. It's yeah, attack wise, and you know, the reinforcements definitely bring a lot of, I think, positivity to what we could do. Gavin, what's your biggest excitement?
Yeah, back to what Drew said, the new signings, very excited to have them here. But my main excitement, I would have to say Giakoumakis, because I believe when he came here, he didn't have much of a break. And now he finally got that rest. And we saw lots from him last season. He damn near won the Golden Boot. But think about Giakoumakis as, like, with new additions, like in the midfield and just everywhere on the pitch with his break, he gets to, like, back. I think Mike mentioned the chemistry. I think I like to hear Giakoumakis is, like, probably trying to, like, he gets more time to build chemistry with, like, Lennon or whoever. I just think this could be a breakout season for Giakoumakis, as I could definitely see him winning the Golden Boot this year. And I could see him, depending on whether Thiago leaves or not, I think we could see Giakoumakis be that main guy for us, especially with what we saw from him last season. Even when he can get much of a break, I mean, he looks really good as long as he can stay healthy, because he got hurt, like, twice. I think he's pulled his hammy twice, I think, last season or something. And we just need to, as long as he stays healthy, then I think he can for sure win that Golden Boot, because he was out for extent periods of times last season, and he still almost won the boot, which is pretty impressive to me. Like, think about if he wasn't out those games. But biggest excitement, I think we could see a lot more from Giakoumakis this season than we did last season, especially if Thiago stays for a bit. If he goes out, if he leaves in the summer, I still think he can do some things. It's just it'll be a little different without him because
Yeah.
we've seen a lot.
Yeah, Yakumakis is still a very complete striker, and very much he can poach, he can hold up the play, he can score with right foot, left foot, header, any of those, and he's like we're seeing. I think one of the preseason matches he led the team out with the captain's armband, and I think his influence is growing on the team. And so, I think Pineda definitely realizes what he's got in a probably more vocal leader than maybe some of the others, and especially with the possibility that Brad Guzan, whether he is the starter or not, which we'll get to in a sec. But biggest excitement for you, Michael?
Yeah, it's not going to be because they already took the obvious ones, but the not so sexy idea, but I think is very interesting, is the double pivot of Tristan and Sleesh. Seeing them work together, if they can light it up this season, this is going to be exciting to watch. Watching them tear apart midfields, opening up acres and acres of space for our attackers, giving our defense plenty of room to breathe and to calm things down. That's we're not going to have to be so panicked anymore when other teams are coming, into our defensive half, and we will look devastating and frightening getting into the attacking half. So that's exciting for me. I think if things go well with them, this opens up a whole world for our team that I don't think we've had since like maybe 2019 with Darlington Nagby.
Yeah, great shout. I mean, definitely shielding that back line, super important, and also allowing our attackers to play. And that for me is the biggest excitement is, our front four is, them being able to play together for an entire season. I mean, the goals and assists for Saba, the goals and assists for Almada, Yakumakis, they're all in pretty much like the 90th percentile. In accordance to the league, and then Silva, who's not a DP, he's in the 80th something percentile. I mean, this is going to be a dangerous attack if they can stick together on the field, of course, and obviously we're going to have those international breaks where they get pulled away, and we have some understudies that will be able to help kind of, I guess, mitigate the production loss. So. Yeah, and someone that we didn't even speak of as well, someone that is scoring on a pretty regular basis when he comes on, Tyler Wolf as well. I mean, this guy, homegrown, but he knows how to find the back of the nets, and so definitely someone that can be a weapon off of the bench as well. So, yeah, the attacking core and corp is definitely very, very tasty. So, the aforementioned Brad Guzan, will he be the starting goalkeeper? The real question is, who will win that goalkeeper spot? So just, we don't have to go too in depth, but yeah, Josh Cohen, also a newcomer. We haven't talked about him yet, but he was the goalkeeper of the year for Maccabi Haifa, and there was a little bit of a snafu on his way in, but we were able to clear all that. No big deal. He's he's happy to be an Atlanta United player apparently, so that's good. And he's a new father. Will he get that goalkeeper spot, Drew?
I think I could see Guzan starting our first game versus Columbus, but the overall starter of this season, I'm pretty sure, is going to be Josh Cohen. I have seen a lot of quality out of him even before he joined Atlanta United. I watched him whenever he was playing in the Champions League with Maccabi Haifa. He's a quality goalie, and he brings a lot of what Guzan's lacking right now with his getting up there in age. So I think Cohen will win the spot easily.
Okay. Gavin.
Yeah. I agree. I think Guzan will definitely start week 1 against Columbus, but honestly, I can see yeah, Guzan starts week 1. I can see Cohen. I think it's just gonna be deja vu with what we saw last season, and I think Guzan's gonna let in some goals against Columbus, and then they're gonna be like Guzan out. But I think Cohen will like probably start for the home opener against the Revolution. I could see that, but I feel like we could see if both keepers don't do as well, like as expected. I could see them like swapping throughout the season. Not like Guzan starts, Cohen starts, Guzan starts. So I'm not talking like that. There could just be heaps of periods where we could see Cohen starting, or if he doesn't do well, then Guzan starts. It's a tough question though, because it's hard to predict if Guzan's gonna be exactly what was last season, or if he's like cleaned up his mistakes. But at his age, it can be tough. And Cohen's got lots of talent, but you just never know. It's also on the defense. It's also, you gotta defend better too, because that's the key to letting in the goals. So
Yeah.
week 1 I can see Guzan starting, but week 2 I think Cohen's gonna start. Unless we do well defensively, then Guzan will start against New England Revolution. But I think for week 1, Guzan. But as it goes on, like Drew said, Cohen will win the spot.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time until Cohen wins the spot. It's inevitable, I believe, unless, barring some massive calamity. But for the first game, since that's what we're trying to answer right now, I'll say, gun to my head, I guess I'll say Guzan starts, but just because I think of it's like kind of a formality way to start the season. It kind of is more of a statement thing than it is like we definitely have more faith in this goalkeeper versus another. So who knows who it'll be. I could see either way. Like they can say like, oh well, we'll put Cohen on because we know Columbus is a good team and we know we rate Cohen more, so we're gonna have a better chance with Cohen on there. But in the home opener, we're definitely gonna have Guzan because formalities and being courteous to a guy who has carried us for a while as our goalkeeper and captain. So I could see that as well, like an argument for that. I don't think this matters too much, so it is it is what it is. Like it's I don't think it's going to really. I think it'll be more interesting when Cohen fully takes the helm. And then I don't know when that'll exactly be, but I'm hoping it'll be at least like in the first quarter or third of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it matters for the fans and the optics.
Yeah, it does matter with that, but it doesn't matter if at the end of the season we do well. No one's gonna really care about the first game or so.
Right, and well, that's what it is too. I think too is that. Well, you have the optics for not only the fans, but you have the optics for also the players and doing right by the players to a degree. So our team captain for pretty much, 5 years? Yeah, I mean, and for him to just be unceremoniously just, oh, well, and while he's still on the team, I can see how it might be a thing, but it's also... you got to do what's best for the actual club as well. And that first game is probably one of our toughest games of the season. And if we play Braguzan, it is going to be tough. And, I don't know if he's going to have the ability to stop some of the...
He's not. We know he's not.
Shots
we know he's not. He's not up to snuff when it comes to going up against Columbus. We just know that. So.
Right. Yeah, and so that's what it is. It's a tough call for Pineda to a degree. He's kind of being put under a, the best case scenario would have been Brad Guzan retiring probably in this offseason, but that wasn't the case, obviously. And I mean, yeah, he can utilize his, his veteran experience and his wisdom for the rest of the, the squad, but ultimately, it's a weird problem to have. For sure, and it's ultimately something that's a headache for Pineda, and I think we have to start Josh Cohen for that first match. But will it actually happen? That is the other story. So, yep. Moving on from that, I think, let's make this a yes or no. Does Thiago Almada stay the whole year? Drew?
No.
No.
I don't see it. He, especially with the Olympics this year, that's the biggest worry. If he does well, his price shoots up.
Gavin?
Yep. No. I don't see it happen. I don't think he's gonna stay with us. I think his value's gonna increase because we know who he is. He's gonna do well. I think he's gonna get sold middle of the season. How it affects us, I'm not sure, because we'll see how. I mean, we've already not had him this entire preseason, but it's just preseason. Who cares? But I don't think he's gonna stay with us.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, if everything goes according to plan, he should be gone. So, I mean, that's what we want. That's the ideal scenario. It's gonna hurt because there really aren't that many players like him available. At his rate, at his age, his talent, and his potential, like there isn't a lot. There are, but it's Thiago is special. Let's not forget that. So it's gonna be a little bit of a pain to see him go and to eventually find a replacement that probably won't live up to Thiago, but hopefully we can at least get something close that the difference isn't night and day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I agree. He's not going to last the season, but hopefully we can pull a Columbus Crew and, do what they did with Zalarian with Rossi. So, yeah, hopefully that is the case. But, yeah, that's a big thing to look out for this season for sure. Let's, maybe with in terms of the next question, breakout performer, the name and pretty much like a couple sentences why, but breakout performer. Drew?
I'm gonna go with our breakout performer is going to be Firmino. I think, especially with Almada getting sold probably this summer, I think if he can pick up half of the vision and passing that Almada has, maybe even a quarter of that, I think he will bring a different wrinkle to this team. He is more of a second striker type of center attacking mid, and that gives a different type of look to defenses and everything like that. And I think it could benefit this team a lot. And I'm interested, and I do think he can do well. We've seen him, even in the short stints he's had up with the team, look pretty well. He scored in his first game, and I think he will break out and play very well this season. Now, to what degree, I don't know, but I think we will be fine with him manning that number 10 position.
It's a great show. It's definitely, he's more of a box threat than Almada to some degrees. So definitely, it's a different dynamic with him. But definitely a really great show. Gavin?
I got Jean de Silva. So whether or not Thiago stays or goes, which I think he goes, I could see Firmino definitely being a replacement, like what Drew said. He can definitely be like that, but I don't think he'll be enough as a complete breakout. I could see. I'm not saying Silva's going to be a complete replacement of Almada, but I think he'll. We've seen lots of what he did last season, but like he scored lots of good goals. He's got good skills. He's just. I think we're going to see just a lot more from him, like triple what we saw from him last season since he was new. I just think we're going to see a lot more from. We're going to see a lot more of that from him. He'll provide assists, goals. He'll be like if there was like goal leaders, I'd say Yako at 1, Almada maybe at 2, and if there was someone below that, I think it'd be Silva. And I think he's better than Saba. I think he's got that in him.
Okay, very, very interesting shout. I like it. Michael?
Yeah, so we kind of have like an embarrassment of riches when it comes to potential breakout players, which is exciting. It's like, who's going to pop off this season? You know, so it could be really like a handful of guys. I want, I guess, in terms of just a massive impact on how the team plays and making us markedly better, I would really want Sleece to be kind of the surprise. You know, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. Hopefully we went out and got a good player, but like, you know, I want him to really kind of blow everyone's mind and kind of put us into a higher echelon of team. And I'm really, really hoping that he is the guy who can do that. Again, this was an area where we were, I believe, sorely lacking, and reinforcing it here a good amount should allow us to tap into our full potential. So hopefully we'll be able to see that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, for me, I think it's gonna be Josh Cohen. I think you know, he's got that shot-stopping ability that we're sorely missing, and it's gonna be so refreshing when yeah, he's able to actually make some stops that we're just gonna be like mind blown. And you know, it may not be I don't know, it may not be top of the league levels of performance. It could be, but I think it's just gonna be such a marked difference that we're just gonna be like, oh man, like this is what we were missing for the past couple years, maybe. So, but okay, team MVP, Drew.
I'm gonna go Giakoumakis. I think he's gonna win the Golden Boot this year. He almost won it last year, which he had this. He couldn't start the first couple games of the year with the visa issue that we had, or him just coming over, and then he picked up a couple injuries and still almost won the Golden Boot. I could see him taking off this year and putting up astronomical numbers. He is a proven scorer in a top team in Europe, and it'll be interesting to see what he does with a full season with the full season training and rested up. It could be a very dangerous for the league.
Mm-hmm. Great show, Gavin.
Everything you said, Giakoumakis. Even if Almada stays, I still think Giakoumakis is going to be the team MVP. He's scored many, many goals, even when he's been hurt. I think he's just that guy. He's going to be that MVP. He's always going to be there no matter what. I think he'll win the Golden Boot as well. I know there's lots of other goal scorers out there. I mean, Messi's in the league now. They brought in Suarez. They have Bouanga, I think, still with LAFC. He was rumored to go to Liga MX. But there's many other goal scorers, but I mean, still, it's just, I don't know how you can't be convinced that anyone else is going to win the Golden Boot other than Giakoumakis when he was out, but still almost got there. He's just going to always find ways to score goals. I mean, you asked me who prime Joseph or Giakoumakis right now. Tough question, but I still think Giaco can definitely win the Golden Boot, and he's going to be the team MVP, whether or not Almada goes and stays. For majority of team goals this season. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's not injuries, I think the only deterrent is if he can stop getting yellow cards, which I don't think it's in him. He's going to get yellow cards. Yep. And it's just what it's going to be.
The same demons that allow him to keep scoring also come with yellow cards.
Exactly. But that's the thing. He's that motivated, and yeah, I mean, it's hard to doubt him as team MVP. Is he yours, Michael?
Yeah, it's got to be. There's really no other really good. I mean, unless Thiago stays the whole season, that's the only other competition he'll have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue any of that. I mean, you know, maybe others that's if we were talking about maybe intangibles, possibly. You know, you could argue last season that, you know, Brooks Lennon was a person that just, with his availability and, you know, his ability to, you know, just really, I think, you know, be that team player and play full 90s, play, forward or at right back. I mean, that's a possible shout too, from a non-statistical standpoint. But I mean, still, it wasn't anything to shake a stick at. I mean, he was the most productive right back in the league too, 4 goals, 10 assists. So, maybe that, if we're gonna try to bring somebody else into this conversation, but yeah, it's probably Giakoumakis for sure. All right, so prediction for the season: where will we finish in the East, and how many trophies will we win? Drew.
I have us finishing 3rd. I could see us finishing as high as 2nd or as low as 5th, but I have us in 3rd. It's going to be a battle for that top 4. I see a group of 5 teams that any one of them could be in that top 4. But I think we have the quality and the depth to be able to stay in that top 4 and get in 3rd place. So I think we'll be fine there. I see us winning 1 trophy this year, and I think it's going to be the big one. I think we have a shot at winning this because we have so much depth on our team. I see us also adding in the summer to some of the positions that we're a little worried about, and our attacking trio right now and our attacking quad that we have, it'll get us through a lot of situations, even if our defense is not as good as we would like it to be. I think that will put a lot of teams on their heels, and we can win that trophy for the season.
Okay, so MLS Cup. You're thinking, all right. I love it. I love it. Gavin.
I love to think optimistically. I don't think we're gonna win any trophies this season. I think we can get close to one, but I don't think we're. I mean, we are definitely capable of winning trophies. I just don't think we're the team to be like that this season. I think there's gonna be a team just one step ahead of us, because I could see. I mean, there's teams out there like Columbus Crew, Cincinnati, Miami, and I think the Rebels are going to do better this season. So that's there's I think they're just teams that are going to be just a step ahead of us. But I have us finishing 5th or 4th, maybe. I'm saying 5th. That's my prediction, 5th. It's going to be. I think we'll have improvement. I think we'll win almost every home game this season. I think we'll win more road games, like I mentioned, but it'll still a little glimpse from last season, just that we do a lot better than last season. And I could see if this happens, if we get relatively close to any trophies or finishing at least 5th, I could see Pineda keeping his job for the time being. But if we don't make the playoffs, not trying to switch the topic, then I don't see him staying for next season. But 5th place and no trophies, but I do see us getting close to it. I think we can make it out the group stage in the Leagues Cup, but I could see us getting knocked out the round after, U.S. men's national team, like that. Or I have us probably winning the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs, because I have us making the playoffs. But I just don't see us getting to MLS Cup yet. Maybe the semifinals again, maybe the round before, I don't know. But we'll definitely fill out the promise and get close to there. And maybe we will. Maybe we will win. I don't want to be too optimistic, because I've been too optimistic for the years past, and it just never worked out. So I'm going to be more realistic than that.
So you're hedging your bets a little bit, but Pineda keeps his job. Okay. Michael.
Yeah, I think Drew and Gavin are largely correct. I have them at 5. Because I feel like it's just not going to make life easy for an Atlanta United fan. So of course he'll have to. His Atlanta United will land 5th. So everyone will be like, well, he didn't meet his KPIs of 4th, so he's out. And everyone's like, well, no, it's 5th. It's really close to 4th. But look, they played really well, and they almost won X, Y, and Z Cup, but they didn't win any of the Cups. And it's just, he was right there. Just one more year. Just one more year. It's just going to be that. And I know it's going to be a lot of bickering and annoyance online about that. So we'll see. Of course, that'll be the case. This will never be easy for us. Yeah. So like they said, I don't. Drew said we win MLS Cup. I think we'll come close to like maybe 2 cups, but I don't see us winning any of them. I think that we are going to start to solidify ourselves as a dominant team in the Eastern Conference that everyone now has to kind of look out for. And I think maybe the seasons after this one, we're going to actually start to threaten for the trophies, maybe make some cup finals. And then, I mean, like they said, I believe we have the potential to perhaps upset some teams and to sneak in and beat and win some trophies this season. But I think things are still taking their time to be assembled. Some of these teams have been playing together for a while now. They have a lot of chemistry, a lot of time under their belt. These are proven championship quality teams. Like Philadelphia, Columbus, Cincinnati, they barely chopped and changed anybody. They're all like kind of the same team almost. You look at, there's an article on Five Stripe Final that Joe Patrick put out about analyzing the Eastern Conference, and he's like, this is probably the best team since 2019 that Atlanta United have had. But don't let that fool you. Understand that this is the probably most stacked the Eastern Conference has ever been in terms of competition. So even though we've gotten really good again, all the other teams have also gotten really good too. So that kind of makes me think it's going to put us out of the running for a cup this year, until we get a year or two of all of this complement of players playing together and solidifying themselves under hopefully a coherent system with Pineda. And if not, then moving on to the next coach's system that comes in. And then, kind of starting that whole thing over again. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I mean, guys, it's great points. There's one team that we haven't even talked about that was second in the East last season, Orlando City, and they have been also as well very good and largely intact, and Oscar Pereira is still their coach. So
and they've upgraded players too, which is even scarier.
Exactly. And so you have that too, and so it's, man, it's all the points are, I think, very valid that we have a very tough road ahead of us in the East. Fifth probably looks like a viable spot. I think I am actually a little bit high on our chances there, as with the caveat that we can stay healthy and we maybe keep Thiago Almada. If we don't, that we bring a viable replacement in for his production, and as well fill in those depth things that we need. The left backs, the more midfield, I think, as well. It's still a little shallow in terms of what's going on there, but our starting 11, like, if they can stay healthy, it can compete with the best in the league. But we also are dealing with Lionel Messi in the league, and by God, this league is going to do everything that they can to see Lionel Messi win something. And because if not, will it mark his time in MLS as a failure? Will it even kind of optics-wise make the league look bad a little bit? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a larger argument, but we won't get into that. But it is, I think, we finished fourth in the East. We do not win a trophy, unfortunately. But I think we do come closer than we have in the past years. But I mean, it's Leagues Cup. We have it kind of going against us a little bit with some of the other things that are going on around the same time. And I mean, will we have our full strength 11? Who knows? That's the biggest thing. And Caleb Wiley maybe missing from that is a huge cog. And so yeah, that this summer that transfer window will be very, very important. But yeah, as well, of course, we've talked about it in the episode itself. U.S. Open Cup. We won't know if we're actually part of that or not. One of the 8 teams that may be playing in it that are of MLS. So that could be another trophy to possibly compete for. But yeah, ultimately, of the 3 trophies, yeah, it's just unlikely. I don't know if we have the long haul for the Supporter Shield. I don't know if we have maybe the defense for the MLS Cup yet. And then for the League's Cup, yeah, it's aforementioned luck of the draw, and if our depth can play along. So it's gonna be tough, but it should still be a very fun season, and I'm sure we will have a lot of late moments that we will score late and we will be incredulous. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, I think, something where Gonzalo Pineda, that's the ultimate question. Can he bring us to glory? And hopefully he can. But yeah, guys, you guys can be part of this as well in the future by joining us on the higher tiered Patreon levels. And definitely, yeah, it was a lot of fun with you guys, Drew, Gavin, and yeah, do you guys have any parting thoughts on this season before we sign off?
Almost ATL.
I was gonna say, I can't wait for Saturday. Can't wait for this season to start.
Love it.
But what I could see happening is, let's say we lose to Columbus. We're gonna see on social media, Pineda out, and I think that first game is very key. We'll see what happens in the home opener. We're the home team. We're playing New England, who we haven't been at home in a while, I don't think, but that matters. We're mainly good with home openers. Last season was electric home opener. We saw stoppage time brace from Almada and beat San Jose again. Hopefully we see something like more of a dominating performance, because that's what I want to see. But I just want for us to play good. At least win a draw at Columbus. That's what I want to see. But match day is always going to be a good day no matter what. So Saturday can't come any closer. And excited for the season.
All right, guys. Well, yes, cheers to you guys. Much love for you guys always. And definitely, yes, good luck to us in this season. Thank you again to Gavin and Drew. And yes, let's get into the mailbag. And you guys send in these questions through IG Story and also Discord. And yes, we are giving priority to the Patreon members for their questions. So definitely shoot your questions there, and we might answer your question in the future. So first question comes from Gavin, and he says, how could we see ourselves face Columbus after being eliminated by them in the playoffs last season? Similar way last season, but revamped? Or do you think we will have a totally new game plan? Obviously, we will get to a bit of this in the match preview, but yeah, how do you see this?
I think we're what everyone predicts we're going to do. We're going to do. We're going to play the same way we played last year, and try and beat them at whatever that is supposed to be. That kind of gets into a deeper question about like what the identity and what they're trying to build here in Atlanta is. But whatever it is, we saw a glimpse of it last year, and I think that they're going to try and perfect it this year. Whether or not that's good enough to beat Columbus remains to be seen. I don't know if it is, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, next question comes from Indomitable17. Any chance of GG going to the Euros if Greece qualifies?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of two like of their main strikers, so I think he would accompany them if they moved on.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. And so, yeah, if they qualify, yeah, we're gonna be missing him for some time. Now, yeah, next question comes from JWin20. Now that the team looks completely different, do you think Gonzo and Boca are on the hot seat now more than ever?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a do or die season for Gonzo. This will test the theory of was last season, or their inability to meet their goals due to lack of just good enough personnel, or was it more an issue with the tactics and strategy from the coach? This will test it, because we've exchanged a lot of the players out that we thought were holding us back. So if they still struggle, then I think it's pretty clear this is on Gonzo's tactics and strategy, because whatever we have going on right now should be good enough to win. And if it doesn't, you got to ask questions about what other variable is it? And it's pretty obvious it's Gonzo's tactics. So I was under the impression that his tactics are fine, and it was the personnel that was the issue, specifically in midfield. So since we've cleared a good amount of that out, and now we have what are supposed to be far superior improvements, we should be able to see far superior improvement of the team in general and in the standings. Hopefully we can get there. It remains to be seen. And if we don't get there, I think it rests exclusively on Gonzo, because I don't think it's the players. I don't think Boca will be in the hot seat, really, because I don't think Stian, Tristan, Zonde, Saba, and Sleece, I don't think these, or Dennis Williams, I don't think these guys are Derek Williams? Derek. Anyway, I don't think these guys are the problem.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think fully agree with what you're saying. And it's, yeah, I mean, Bocanegra, yeah, I think his leash is just a little longer than maybe some people want, but it is what it is. I mean, he's brought some, maybe with Garth Lagerwey's guidance as well. But yeah, he's brought some players that show some really good promise right now, and so I think if we're not able to address things that we need in, I guess, future transfer windows, that's where we can start to again be critical of. But I think, yeah, Lagerwey, Bocanegra, they had a really great offseason in terms of pretty much mostly filling our needs. So, yeah, next question comes from Josh Cohen fan. What do you think the rotation between Josh Cohen and Brad Guzan will go out?
A Josh Cohen question from the Josh Cohen fan. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like, we kind of talked about this in the the season preview part with the patron guests. I believe Cohen will win the job at the minimum the first quarter of the season. I think it'll be clear that he will be the starting goalkeeper, and he should be. It would baffle me if he wasn't good enough to beat out Guzan, by either Guzan some miraculous way getting better, or Cohen not being as good or incapable of getting to the level needed to surpass and usurp Guzan. That would blow me away. So I definitely think he'll overtake him, and I think it won't take very long. I think we got into this a little bit earlier, that some of Brad Guzan's showings will be fairly ornamental and with a lot of deference to his time with the club, and it won't necessarily be like we chose him because he is by far the better choice. I think the better choice is most likely every time going to be Cohen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great shout, and yes, yeah, of course, we had talked about it earlier, so definitely, if you, I guess, skip to this bit, check out what we said. yeah, Lancillo Green asks, how many minutes do you predict Aiden Torres get this season? I'll kind of answer it for you a little bit because I think it's very little. I think it's since we're not in U.S. Open Cup, if we're playing Leagues Cup, there's just not.
That's where I would say.
Yeah.
Leagues Cup is where has time to shine, probably.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's gonna be. It's super competitive, and I just don't see very many minutes for a lot of the Atlanta United 2 players, bar maybe ones that are pretty much first team players that are fringe, and so Aiden Torres, not sure he's one of those. Next question comes from Crisco.25. Why is the home kit the same? No change. So it's every 2 years, either the home or the away, or the, if you want to call it, primary and secondary. That's when they change. So yeah, it's not like other leagues where it's going to be every single year all the kits change. MLS is a little bit more penny pinching on some of that.
What a surprise!
Yeah, right.
But and something I learned recently is that when they do this, not all the teams are on the same rotation cycle. So, as you noticed with some of these jerseys that came out this season, some of them are away jerseys and some of them are home jerseys. So, not everyone is on the same timeline.
Which I think is a good thing because, yeah, I mean, if all the new kits that you see on social media are just all the white kits, that's fairly bland and boring. So, that at least they have that figured out. But, yeah. And last question comes from Micah the Guru. Will Almada be ready this weekend with how little he's been involved so far?
Yeah, I believe so. I've seen him in pictures in the training ground that he's been training. He's been with the team, since he got back. He had a little bit of time, to chill, but he is there with them and training. So I believe we will see him a starting game against the reigning champs away without Almada is a terribly scary prospect. So, I mean, you could pretty much write the game off if we're not going to field him. So, yeah, I think we pretty much have to. I mean, yeah, I don't think this team is very capable without Almada.
Especially against the reigning champs. So, yeah, he will be involved. It'll remain to be seen. We'll preview it right now, pretty much. If he will be part of it. So, yep. But, yeah, guys, thank you for your questions. And, yeah, we look forward to seeing your questions in the future on IG Story and on Discord. So, again, if you are a higher level Patreon member, you will get your answers, or you will get your questions answered, and within reason, of course, obviously, about Atlanta United. And but yeah, so that moves us to the match preview, and we will be playing the Columbus Crew 2 p.m. on Saturday at lore.com field. And I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's a very early match. This is probably the earliest that we played in a really long time. And, I mean, essentially, we know what happened when we last played them. We got bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. And, yes, it was a 3-game series. We beat them at home pretty emphatically, but ultimately they were able to win the series and able to win the MLS Cup. And Wilfred Nancy, yeah, I think without a doubt, best coach in MLS last year. And, I mean, he's just a coach that's able to adjust tactics, adjust within games, control and dominate proceedings. And, I mean, it's just, and this team has really, really great talent. The you know, basically the you know, the difference really is that basically Julian Gressel, Kevin Molino, and Josh Williams are no longer part of the team, but yeah, they have key signings in Marino Hinestrosa and Derek Jones, and yeah, basically players that he can shift with, you know, not only a wingback but also a defensive player in Jones. I mean, you know, more or less largely unchanged. Cucho Hernandez still part of the team. Diego Rossi, Dunton Nagby, of course. I mean, this is just a stacked team.
And Gressel's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's that. I mean, it's I think many of the pundits are predicting them to finish as low as third, but or as low as sixth actually. And that person, I mean, I don't know
I don't know how much longer they're going to be working as an analyst in MLS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of crystal ball that they have, but you know, that'll be very interesting. But most of them have them finishing first or second. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be really, really interesting how well they do. But I mean, against us at lower.com field, I think they'll be pretty confident. And they will look to probably make sure that they get the 3 points in their home opener. They'll be amped. You know, we pretty much have been training the entire preseason to try to see if we can do something in this match. And hopefully we can, but I mean, ultimately, it'll come down to a lot of things, a lot of factors. But yeah, what do you prognosticate in this match in terms of like what we need to do in order to nullify their threats and actually do something?
First, I want to start by saying, why did we get the hardest possible matchup in the first game? That's annoying. Like, seeing some of these other first matches that the good teams in MLS are getting, like, why can't we like play Chicago? Like, why aren't we playing, you know, Minnesota? Like, these top teams are like, you know, I forget who they were, like Philadelphia and Miami, I think, are like playing, well, Miami with the RSL, but there was another one too. Maybe it was Cincinnati, I think, yeah, Cincinnati. They're like playing these like really low-ranking teams in their first match, and I'm like, why can't we have that? So yeah, that was frustrating to see. Anyway, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think any team has figured out how to beat Columbus consistently, so I don't think Gonzalo is going to be able to figure it out this game. It remains to be seen if anyone will be able to figure them out this year and is able to like kind of just silence them. Yeah, it'll be interesting if it like even like how Miami puts up against with them. It'll be really interesting to see that. For us, I think we need to get out of there with a draw. If we can scrounge a goal, we have the potential, the firepower, the tenacity, hopefully, and the endurance to, you know, scrape out a goal, and hopefully our defense can hold them with the new and improved defense that we're going to be sporting. But I mean, Columbus is just that good, and they find ways to hurt you, and it can come from it seemingly anywhere. One thing is they like to score a lot of, you know, outside the box howitzers against us. So if we start Brad Guzan, we're in trouble. So we need to have Cohen in there. If they want to take those long range shots, we can do something about it, hopefully, and not end up like we did the game, you know, in the MLS Cup, where we let in like 2 howitzers, which was just, what a back-breaking thing. I mean, that was terrible to see. So hopefully we can get out of there with a draw. I guess tactically how we can, my guess to how best to stop Columbus would be to force them down the wings, clog the midfield, force them down the wings, basically what teams do against us, and force them to not do any kind of interchange play right above our box or get into the box, but force them to cross it in and then to hope for someone to get ahead on it with our tall defender like Stien can hopefully get to it first, or Josh Cohen athletically coming out and stopping it proactively. I think that's probably our best chance to stop their offense. Allowing, Cucho to get in, weave in between our defenders is just not gonna, that'll kill us. We can't let that happen. If that happens, that guy scores, and he will. So
yeah, that dude is inevitable, and yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, excuse me, the level of play that we have to be at in this first match is not something that we're really accustomed to. Yeah, we start off the blocks usually kind of slow, and it's something that hopefully is not historic. We hopefully maybe subvert what we've done in the past, but yeah, I mean, I see kind of how you think we should play, and I mostly agree. I think maybe it should be a little bit more of a mid block to, kind of, because we have the safety valve in Stian Gregerson, and hopefully he can contain Cucho Hernandez, and I think really if we can crowd out their midfield, if we can make Nagby uncomfortable, and hopefully Bartosz Szlisz, the new boy, can he and Muyumba, hopefully Muyumba has a better showing in Columbus, because yeah, in that first match, in that first of the 3-game series, he got found out a little bit. He he was kind of bullied. He was pretty much thrown, maybe not thrown about, but more like, yeah, he was late. He was chasing shadows. He got that yellow. He had to come off. It was, yeah, he looked off of it. And yeah, hopefully Muyumba has a better showing in this, and we can essentially maybe, yeah, play Lennon in there as well, and maybe Wiley at times, maybe Almada track back a little bit to just really make it uncomfortable for Nagby to play out, because that's their cog. That's the player that makes them tick, and that's easier said than done. That's Nagby's made a living in MLS doing that, and so and he's done it to an incredibly elite degree. So yeah, so I mean, in that, I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for us.
You know what they're gonna do, right? You know what they're gonna do. We talked about this in a couple episodes ago. I think one of the questions in a mailbag was, where are we most vulnerable? And that's our left-hand defensive side. Yeah. That's Caleb Wiley. That's Derek Williams, or Louis Abram. Which, I mean, we don't talk about that enough. We need to understand why Abram is fighting for his life against Williams in terms of starting position. Like, this should not be a contested position for him, but somehow it is. He needs to get his head on straight. I don't know what's going on there, but that's unacceptable. So that's concerning. I'm worried Abram's not up to the task. I doubt Williams is up to the task of handling 2 to 3 very high level attackers coming at him, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to target our left hand, their right hand side, and they're going to drill down over and over again there to expose us, because they probably are targeting, much like I am, that's where we are weakest. They're going to try and avoid Steen as much as they can, because that is going to be a huge, just a boulder in their way. So they're just going to drive around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what happened last season. Is Miles Robinson? I mean, yes, he had the error for the first goal in the third match for Nagby to score from distance, but yeah, I mean, more or less though, like one guy can't cover all the space on the pitch, so that's going to be the difficulty. But yeah, I think that brings us to a good spot to be able to predict players in the starting 11. But first off, the unavailable players. Edwin Mosquera, he's probably still out for a couple weeks in the start of the season, so he will not be able to play a part and be that super sub that we need off the bench with his pace. But yeah, getting into the predicted 11, We'll go through the lines together. But goalkeeper, who do you have?
First time in a long time where this is an actual question. You know?
I know, right?
It's just, tried and true, Bagazan and between the sticks. But I think it's got to be Cohen if you want to have a chance at winning this or getting a draw here.
Yeah, I agree. It's, for him, it's the shot stopping ability that we absolutely need. I mean, we're going to face a lot of shots. Like, that's just going to happen. So,
welcome to MLS, Josh.
Exactly. Yeah. Welcome to the fire. But, in terms of the back line, who do you have for the fullbacks?
Yeah, Lennon and Wiley.
Yeah. I mean, Wiley obviously still getting a little bit of match fitness, but seemingly has been, getting the nod. And, we do have, of course, Ronaldo Hernandez and McFadden to.
I would be very worried if either of those started there.
Yes.
Extremely worried. I mean, that's already what I've already said is our vulnerable area. That just makes us even more vulnerable.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, and into the center backs. I mean, I agree, Lennon and Wiley. But who do you have for the center backs?
This is kind of interesting. It seems like it's going to be Williams on the left, which again, like I said earlier, it's disappointing to see Luis, a player we really kind of put some stock into, just not able to win his position. That's concerning to me. Williams, I don't think is good enough to handle Columbus. I mean, not a lot of center backs are in MLS, and to ask him to do it, that's going to be tough for anyone. And then obviously he's going to be complemented by Stian. Yeah,
I agree. It's going to be Derek Williams. It's going to be Stian Gregerson, and I mean,
what is going on with Abram? What is that?
I mean, it's basically I feel like he hasn't had as strong of a preseason, and Williams is probably showing a little bit more, and maybe a little bit more hunger, fight, and possibly ability, because he is a little bit bigger size, possibly a little bit more, I would say, seasoned to a degree in this league. So yeah.
So I don't know off the top of my head, but how many times more money do you think Abram makes than Williams?
Well, yeah, we'll find out. But when
it's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's still a competition for places, and so it's not the worst thing. But may the best player win. But into the midfield, I think both are healthy, so this kind of chooses itself right here. Muyumba and Schleich, do you agree?
Yes, and I hope to be seeing these two often.
Yes, hopefully so. They seem to be a complement to one another, and so hopefully they can get that partnership running super quick, because they need it. And then
Fortune and Dax as backups to close out games. That's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah, you have experience, and you have someone that has not only athleticism and ability, and also, I mean, he was used pretty much to that effect last season where he was closing out games. I mean, usually, you're not bringing on a homegrown that hasn't played that many minutes, but he did it with some, I think, kind of panache, in the sense that, you weren't really that, I think, fussed when you saw him come on. It wasn't like oh man, Fortune's coming on. It's like, oh, okay, Fortune's coming on. That should be good.
Yeah, he does not come onto the pitch with a white flag in hand.
Yeah. And onto the wings. Do you have Saba and Silva, or do you have somebody else?
I mean, I do. The only other shout for me could have possibly been like Edwin, but he's just been such a dynamic super sub, and he's injured, so there's that. And DEJ, unfortunately, is also injured, which, are we gonna buy him out and just send him on his merry way at this point? This was also last year at the beginning of the season, he was injured for X amount of time too. Yeah. So it's just, just the hits just keep coming with him.
Yeah, he cannot buy the luck, and I think as well. Yeah, so Derek Etienne Jr. I mean, I think that's the thing. You can't really buy out someone that's injured. That's that might be a little dicey there with the MLSPA. So, yeah, I'm not so sure. Maybe it's when he's healthy, and maybe if he's not showing too much, there might be that possibility.
Or they already had that kind of in place before he got injured. But
yeah, no, it's I think no doubt it's going to be Saba and Silva unless somebody isn't healthy. But yeah, in the middle, that is probably the biggest question besides the goalkeeper position. Will it be Almada? Will it be Nick Firmino?
it'll definitely be Almada. I'll put like money on it, and I'm very confident in that. However, I don't think he plays full 90 minutes. I think they sub Almada off because they're concerned about his time management. So I think Firmino does come on, but it's late in the game. Yeah, I don't think Almada plays the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great show. Yeah, I mean, Nick Firmino had a great preseason, and I think he can easily come in for a lot of the guys in there if we're chasing a goal. So yeah, he will be a weapon off of the bench. But yeah, Thiago Almada gets the nod for me in the midfield. But and probably excuse me, as easy as it gets in terms of who's starting up top. If he's healthy, it's Jaco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that's the new
yeah.
one.
For sure. And yeah, I mean, I think against most other teams in this league, I think we're feeling good. But against Columbus Crew, not so good. So what's your score prediction?
I'm gonna have some optimism, and I'll say 2-2 draw, because I really want to draw. I really, really want it.
Yeah,
that would be just a super way to start the season, in my opinion. Something to build on, confidence builder. Like you can go toe to toe and score some goals on quote unquote the best team in the league. That's really good. You're in a good place. So that's what I'm gonna hope for. I'm not sure how realistic that is. I would not be surprised if we get trounced. But again, it's like, it depends how far we've come. If Columbus has regressed a little, which I doubt they have, we're the biggest variable here. So I'm gonna be optimistic and say 2-2 because I want to will it into existence. But I don't see us keeping a clean sheet, because Columbus is just good at scoring, and our defense is maybe still a work in progress. I'm just hoping we can claw 2 goals out of them. I mean, we were able to get some goals out of them in the championship, or not championship, which is the wishful thinking, I guess. No, the playoff game, and maybe we can do it again.
Yeah, I'm not as bullish on this match. I think it'll be kind of close-ish for most of the match, but ultimately, I don't know if that match fitness will be there quite yet, and I don't know if how this team has gelled really quite yet, that we will be able to muster enough going forward against their defense. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-1 loss, and yeah, I mean, maybe it's one of those where it's kind of level for a good bit of the match, but unfortunately, yeah, they're able to find a winner later on in the match, which is a little bit of a dagger to the heart. But hopefully we can get past it, and it's just the first match. It's a very forgiving season, as it always is in MLS. So hopefully it's just a blip. But let us know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think. It's been a marathon episode. If you stuck around, more power to you, and we love you. And yeah, I mean, definitely, it's been almost an extravaganza of Atlanta United talk. So definitely enjoy it. if you have, and definitely smash that like button for sure at any point. But yeah, that pretty much is the episode, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, who do you think will be the player that we talk about the most this season? It's going to be, I think, a lot of players that could have a shout. But in terms of, the player that we're always singing their praises.
I thought you meant like it could go either negative or positive.
Ooh, okay, yeah, or negative. I was thinking more positive, but okay, yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, negative or positive, who are we talking about the most this season? So get at us in the comments below, and yeah, definitely. In terms of anything, that's the episode there and there. And so
two things real quick too. Join the Discord. We got some competitions going on. There's going to be stuff throughout the season that we're doing that's exciting in the Discord. It's a vibrant community, a lot of engagement, a lot of talking. Best Atlanta United community on the internet. Definitely. Yeah, that's right. So definitely join up on that to get a full understanding of what we're doing all the time in terms of live events and those stuff like that. So please join us there. We'll be waiting for you. We'll keep the light on. And also, we are going to be returning to doing our post-match live show streams after every game. So head on over to our YouTube channel, 10-15 minutes post every game we have this season, unless we stipulate otherwise. And come hang out with us. Sit in the live chat, hit us up with some questions. Let's commiserate if we lose. If we win, let's celebrate all together. It's a great, fun time, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Love it, love it. Couldn't have said it any better. But guys, yes, again, that's the episode there and there. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. That's been Michael. I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.